What a go on? Peace, fam. How's it doing out there in YouTube land? Yeah, man, I just wanted to swing by, stop in, speak a little bit about, this sister right here. And even though I've been down on the nation for a minute now, I just want to give a little, tribute to this sister, go over some of her speeches, some of her work, and just talk a little bit about her, amongst other things as well. But in the meantime, stay tuned, and we'll be back after this brief break.
Marijuana by name, ganja flowing through my vein, going to my brain. It's like this, it's like this.
When you see, I wonder why. It must be the high grade in your eyes. You look like you're about to fight. High grade, I don't care what I say. We're gonna burn it anyway. Black blood alone smoke a whole party.
So me say ganja me smoke every day. 15, 16 spliff a day. Good purple skunk from me as you say. Move out of my way, me make me weed entry. Full of weed a fun more than a century. Go and farm a man, just go and farm me. And one ganja man, just go and plant it. Cause every time you do that, you do it for me.
When you look sleepy, I wonder why. It must be the high grade in your eye. When you look like you're about to fight. This high
just got to smoke it out. And this is what this take off your wings, youth man, and fly like a bird high in the sky. And let them know say you are conquering lion, coming from the tribe of Judah. Some bad boys that don't have no roots and culture, leave them alone, them a go burn in a fire. Fire. I wrote a letter to Selassie. I sing it to God the night. I wrote a letter to Selassie. I sing it to God the night.
If it wasn't for my foolish pride, baby, you'd be right by my side. And still I just can't deny that it should have been love. Alright. But I never promised you no roses. Valentine's chocolates and I don't think I'll cozy. Me don't hear about the talk, say you're the little things I don't. I know I recognize it. But I never meant to break your heart. The heart broken on the process. I wish I never was so smart. The time has come to pass. Every moment I remember now I said right. Baby, I've been hurting inside ever since you walked out my life. Still I just can't hide that this should have been love. Alright. If it wasn't for my foolish pride, baby, you'd be right by my side. And still I just can't deny that it should have been, could have been love. Alright. Could it have been the car when me drive? Or could it have been the herb to see no light? I threw me there, I stood there late at night. Makes you feel me, I keep another life. Still should never stay, because I stay with it. I think of the emergency, because I stay, I stay. My father represents from the streets that sees with sirens from the streets that sing. Police and soldiers from the steering wheel. Sirens from the streets that sing with just like mama cooking pot. TNT get hot. Sophisticated weapons get away from them black. Beat them like a shot, giant and lick it back. Trade union workers, government, them attack. That cause a state of emergency. Because a state because a state of emergency. Because a state my love in a DMC.
Television and religion are the tools somebody can implement. Corrupting Jaja children, they are the reason we want Babylon from season to season. Hey, they want come for them and come make we chant him down with great power and sound. Jaja children, they are the reason we want Babylon from season to season. Hey, they want come for them and come make we chant him down with great power and sound.
I'm keeping it real. So we are live, we live and let's live. So we are live, I'm keeping it real. So real, yeah. So we are live, we live and it's big. As a man, you must be able to find work and put food on the table. There's no time to sit around to play the fool or be a clown. In the game there's no player haters, real hustlers and gold diggers. Now I've no time to watch the face. Them kind of people don't have no place. I'm keeping it real. So we are live, we live and let's live. I'm keeping it real, so real, yeah. So we're living it big. As we say, life's what you make it. You have a plan, you got to reach it. You work hard, you must get paid to live good for another day. Ease up, no bother with the tension, no bother with the stress. I said to ease up, we are dealing with progress. Peace and love and happiness. I said to ease up, we don't need no commotion, cause everything is darkness. I said to ease up, no bother try to pressure me, and that is where I rest. Cause I remember when me had a yummy, me used to run dance club and party. And outside of the club and teach them hostility, them carrying that and we rubber club where every player from us still down. The DJ round the mic and him a keep the place strong. Now bother come here so like you are raging star. You can't bring that on clean. Me say to ease up, no bother with the tension. I say no bother with the stress. I say to ease up, we are dealing with progress. I said love and happiness. I said to ease up, we no need no commotion. Cause everything is got blessed. I said to ease up, no bother try to question me. That is where I'm next. I know the time is getting late. Like balance in the rain. I strive to get my children fed. Meanwhile my shoes are begging the rain. Yes, I know them times are hard.
Especially if you want to be successful on YouTube. You can get away with that shit for a while, but after a while it catches up to you. And it's unfortunate because what we really, black people, we need to learn how to do is, okay, how can I come up and how can I help other people come up? I really tried. I tried to help other people. At this point, I just don't fuck with other people anymore. I really don't. I can't. People get jealous about money. I don't really get that shit. I really don't. Why is it that money has to be the reason why people have to act a fucking fool? It's just money. We all need it, but damn. Anyway, I'm got blown off. I just don't get that. People do some of the craziest shit because of money, and it's so unnecessary. AW Visions Media says, how many more years? I don't know. That's a good question. I really don't know. I really don't know. And again, it can't last for.
Oh, are you guys there? Hold on. Hold it. Just put some ones up if you're there. You guys can hear me okay? Sounds like it. Let me get off this because I made this mistake before. Just put some ones up if you can hear me. All right. Y'all can hear me okay? There we go. There we go. All right then, y'all. Okay. Actually, I'm looking. Look at this. Off this. Okay. What just? Oops. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. All right. Yeah, man. I just wanted to come in the building. Welcome. Thanks for coming through again. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Yeah, man. Just want to pay some homage to this sister, you know what I mean? Yeah, this is Sister Ava Muhammad. And, you know, as you can see by the font, she has been around for a minute. You know, I just wanted to listen to a couple of her speeches that she's done and just go through some of the work she's done over the years. And really kind of go into the nation as well, because her message and where the nation's going, it is just something about it is just, I don't know, it just doesn't correlate with what she's talking about, because she was one of the more stronger speakers in the nation. And I've been down in the nation for a minute, well, for a very long time, especially after they got hooked up with the Scientology bullshit. And I just, didn't mess with them. But there are some people, obviously, that they've produced. We know some of the names. Obviously, Khalid, Malcolm, Muhammad Ali, and this woman right here, man. I mean, she's, listen, you'll hear from some of the speeches and you'll just see there is a lot of, I don't know, contradiction. Yeah, 71 is not old at all, especially nowadays. It really isn't. It really isn't. But I just want to go through a biography. I just want to touch on a couple of things that's been happening during that's been just going on. But when you come in, wipe your feet, hit the like button. Obviously, that gets us out there. It speaks to obviously the algorithm, lets everybody know that I exist, right? And it gets this message out there as well, because again, I think this woman does need a bit of a tribute. Also, hit share, especially if you are a content creator, man. I mean, because obviously you share, more people will listen, more people will get it out there, and you share, and also you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't subscribed yet. All right, because we'll be, I'm going to be pushing out a whole lot more content, and it's going to be sort of like what I did with the video I did a couple of things back. Just deal with a bunch of subjects. And then towards the end of the week, like on the weekend, just do a full live. And I think that's a good rhythm to get into, especially with all the subjects that are popping up. But let me briefly touch on a few things, and then we'll just get into this. I guess you can call it the listening party for Miss Ava Muhammad. A couple of shout outs, though. Honeybee, what's up? Beautiful Bernice, what's up? African Lemonade 2.0, what's going on? Ramses, what's up? Everybody else in the cloud, y'all want to come in, that's cool. Just a couple of things I want to say. First of all, this, just looking at what's happening with this Umar thing, and the fact that people are so, there are still people I'm noticing, because obviously he mentioned the HVAC. And did y'all see the picture of that HVAC? I mean, are y'all serious? I mean, did you see the picture that supposedly blew up the internet to the point where everybody's making all these lives and memes and shit? And I saw that the post that he put on his Instagram, and I'm looking at the shit, and I really have to give this dude respect, to be honest with you. You got to give him respect at this point, because it's obvious that dude is running the same game he's run over a decade ago. I worked in a depot, like there are depot technicians, there are field technicians, there are remote technicians, which really what I want to do is just a remote, because the remote, basically, you don't move around, you don't spend a lot of gas or nothing. And this is what I'm doing right now at my current position is mainly remote. I only get up when I need to get up, but it's just better. And his remote is good because you can actually work more than one job if you are remote, if you think about it. So that's what I'm trying to do. And if you can do that, and if you put everything together, you can actually make some good money. But as a depot technician, basically what you do, you move around a lot of equipment. You put them on these wooden slabs called skids. All right. So when you look at, like, you could put like a printer on there on a skid, and then you get the lift tool to pull the printer out of the skid and then work on it, or computer or whatever. So you see the HVAC on a skid, and the skids are something that get destroyed all the time, obviously, because you're putting on the lift tool in there and it breaks up. So you got stacks of skids. So the skids are replaceable. The skid is the wood that he wrote the FDMG on. Obviously, like he probably went in the back of a Home Depot or something, wherever, saw it, wrote FDMG on there, took the picture, and said, "Look, I finally got the H back." Because you probably heard on T Pre's channel, Israel Doctrine. I guess he had he's one of the people who offered Umar free work, and y'all. And I just hope y'all can hear me. Okay, you can hear me good. And he told you how much it cost. I initially, myself, in my initial video of Umar, this was over 3 years ago, told you how much it cost for HVAC. Like $15,000 for labor. So why, I mean, if he got it, like, how do y'all fall for this shit? There's another $30,000 he has to pay. So what, is he gonna ask for donations or scrape it up so like in 6 months he'll finally have a technician? Then another 6 months he's gonna get, the equipment to move it from one spot to another. I mean, like, I understand some people are trolling, some people know that this shit's a scam. You had the good guys, these dudes are just such fuckboys. So I was listening a little bit to the therapist and T&on sitting there talking about, oh, I'm getting this white boy money now. So, dude, all this stuff that you did, all right, going trying to ruin people's lives over a lie. Yasser's was nothing happened with Yasser, just like nothing happened with the yoga studio. And now you're in a lawsuit. You did all of this for, like, what white boy money? Like, none of these guys are getting numbers out of this. You're not really making money. The only person probably, to be honest, is Crack Rock Smooth. And, maybe Lennon, but it's like, you're not getting massive money like that. Crack Rock Smooth is doing it because he is dick riding Geno Jennings. It's not because of his own content. So, like, what was the purpose of doing this? So you mean to tell me that you did this? Umar never went to your platform. He never blessed. He never interviewed with you. You just did this for what? Just to start shit? Calling up people's jobs and like, trying to get them fired. And the gay shit, you cannot get past the gay shit. Just the fact that you were hooking up with Stephen Gaetano and like having long lives, and you did pass that picture around, and now you look all over and you see people who had downloaded clips, saved clips of the shit that you've done. So y'all acted like you can just do this online and then just walk away. You can't do that. Everything is there. You're going to piss someone off to the point where they're going to just download your shit. You think you deleted the channel not before people downloaded your shit? I have some downloaded shit. So none of the shit makes sense. If you were at like 1 million subscribers and you were getting about 100, like if your channel was like Hassan Campbell's channel or Kwame Brown's, and I'm like, okay, he's making some money, like Flacco, he seems to be going that route. But even him, people are reminding him of all the fuckery. So basically this was never about the school. I mean, some of the dummies like Andrew Roberts and some of these dudes, these dumbasses, there are still people that believe this shit's gonna open. Still, like, seriously, they're not joking. They seriously believe this shit is gonna open. What's up, BTK Killer? But all of this for what? Oh, I'm getting them white boy checks now. So wait, you're getting white boy checks now. What happened to the black people's checks you were getting? That shit is so coonish. I'm getting white boy checks and that white boy money. Like, okay, you were getting black people. Was that bad? All of this shit was for what? And some of y'all weren't even making any money. And now you got some people moving away from the Umar shit altogether. So now what? It just makes no sense. And I'm looking at some of these things that people are pulling up. I'm glad I'm not in it. Maybe somebody's gonna just like dig deep enough and find something that, you know, my name is on. But I didn't post any shit. It was all about, listen, this dude is bullshit, and now everything's coming to fruition. Now people are posting all your old shit up there and you can't run away from it. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna stay tuned for that. Secondly, let me say this. It turns out, and just, you know, make sure I can hear myself good. I just hope you guys can hear me as well. You know, right now, some of you probably seen or, you know, listen to my video going over the museum and the pimp, and, you know, dude, basically, you know, I even changed the thumbnail on the last video on Tariq, and you've seen the numbers and everything. And again, just like I said with Umar, like some people, they're still like neck deep in this. They don't give a fuck. It's like, you know, you're not going to change what some people think. So it's been over a year. Nothing's moved with the museum, and whatever. But Tariq now, it seems that he has hip hop in his crosshairs. All right. And I guess Busta Rhymes, who is a legendary rapper who clearly is also a student of rap. All right. You have Fat Joe, who, you know, listen, not a great rapper. I mean, he's a rapper that kind of grew on me over the years. He's put out a lot of content, a lot of albums. All right. He brought us Big Pun. That's probably the biggest accomplishment of his career. I mean, he eventually started making good music. I never liked his first album or the Flo Joe shit. I just didn't. I never thought he could rap. But listen, I guess he got around, got a good couple of good rappers around him. You know, the greatest Latino rapper ever, all right, in Big Pun. I guess that kind of rubbed off a little bit on him. And he hooked up with the right people, and he's made a pretty decent career for himself. So Fat Joe, I guess, decided to say some shit about hip hop. And so Tariq is now, I guess he has a video out. What the hell is this stupid shit? The attempted hostile takeover of hip hop. It's such stupid shit, y'all, for this reason. Listen, people are trying to say that Black Americans started hip hop and we came in and took the culture and everything, and foreigners came in and took the culture. Folks, hip hop started in New York, all right? And in New York, as you know, it's a melting pot, okay? And I guess people, they want to move Kool Herc out of it and okay, and all that other stuff. I get it. This isn't about trying to find out who started hip hop. Because for me, I don't care. And if you're from New York, you never thought about that stupid shit. All right. It was just good music. All right. My opinion, Africans started hip hop, folks. Period. You're of African descent, you started hip hop. All right. And hip hop, when you look at, you got to ask yourself, what is hip hop? All right. What is the definition of hip hop? Just, you know, in a nutshell, the basis of it. Hip hop is 2 turntables and a microphone. That's what hip hop is. All right. Well, when you start saying stupid shit like it was a Jubilees, some fucking gospel doo-wop group, when you say dumb shit like the Lost Poets, I believe, or the guys who the spoken word, I mean, come on, guys. there's spoken word. All right. Obviously, if you go before hip hop, because hip hop is moving on to its 50th anniversary, which ironically enough, the 50th anniversary of hip hop passed, and none of these FBA clowns even celebrated it. How about that? Think about that. You started it, but and what's up, Conundrum? You started hip hop, and you're so concerned about hip hop that you didn't even commemorate its anniversary. The 49th anniversary just passed last week, stupid. And you're so interested in it. But you see now, this guy, Tariq, is having a show talking about the hostile. If folks, if you're such riders as Black Americans, how could anyone do a hostile takeover? Ask yourself, what's a hostile takeover? Like, in a movie form, like if you've ever watched Scarface, and like I was told you, I was binge watching a lot of Scarface shit just this past week. A hostile takeover is when Tony walked in on Frank and shot up Frank and the Dirty Cop. That's a hostile takeover. Or if you're a fan of The Wire, right? Remember when Marlo took over Prop Joe? That's a hostile takeover, where he came in and Mike walked in and he's like, basically Prop Joe just was like, listen, I treated you like a son. And Marlo was like, who gives a shit? And Marlo, the psychopath as he was, just watched this guy at close range get his brains blown out by Mike. So it's just, listen, that was his name, Mike, I believe. But no, Chris, my bad. Basically watches his brains get blown out by Chris Paltrow. And yeah, that's a hostile takeover. What hostile takeover are Latinos? How can they take over something when you guys are the riders that you claim to be? It's just, and what's up, honeybee? It is really, it's really unfortunate that this guy put such a battery in your back and has fooled you to the point that you're just believing anything that he says. This is a guy who never even promoted hip hop. He just didn't. He liked to be around hip hop stars like Ice-T and all. But what is he going to do? He's going to bring Ice-T, who isn't even FBA, right? Is he going to say, Ice-T is he going to be using him? Or what about KRS, who is not, he's a Trinidadian. All right. And it's just, he's doing all of this because it takes your mind off the museum, folks. That's what it does. Hip hop was made by Africans, obviously Americans, and you have Caribbeans, people with Caribbean descent. All right. You have people like Latinos came in, all right? Yeah, you have all sorts, and just a whole mixing pot of people. More Latinos were dancers. Obviously, the Black males were more, there were more spitters, okay? And a lot of the people, for the most part, if they're not Black, they gave homage to Black people who they were inspired by. Big Pun, the Head and Shoulders, the greatest Latino rapper that ever did it, ever. All right, better than that's the greatest that ever did it. All right, he got his swag. His mentor was Cool G Rap, maybe the greatest lyricist ever. All right, especially in his prime. And Cool G Rap, I believe, I don't think he is FBA. All right, that curly hair, and he may be like, African, Afro, Latino or whatever, but he's not. I don't think he's fully FBA. Who gives a shit? All right, Rakim looks kind of Arab. Who gives a shit? But this is what this guy has got it into, and now he's making Black Caribbeans the enemy and Latinos the enemy, and just because some fool cholo made some reckless comment. All right, a guy who probably can't even spit. He wants to go to Latinos to produce this shit. He can do that. The best producers in the game are black. All right, and so he can let him do whatever the fuck he wants. All right, eventually, if you want your shit laced, well, you're gonna go to black folks, and that's just what it is, folks. Ask yourself, instead of saying who started it, who's getting all the money now? How about that? Are you going to blame that on foreign blacks? All right. Shout out to Information Man. All right. Because, he's adamant about, where hip hop started from. But I made a comment in the chat that, listen, you talk about gangster rap because, listen, gangster rap kind of took over. And it took over not because the conscious rap was bad. All right. Those conscious albums, they were some of the best produced albums. They didn't put out shit albums. They put out very good, well-produced, good music. One of the most solid albums I've ever heard is Poor Righteous Teachers, their original album, Holy Intellect. One of the best albums. Like if you're talking about conscious albums, that album right there. But people realize that, hey, the silly shit, like the dropping N-words a million times, but who are the guys that started that? All right. And if Tariq decides to get Ice-T to talk, he's gonna have to talk about that. Like Ice-T, like you were one of the progenitors of this gangster shit, the pimp shit. You were. All right. Now, Ice-T did a lot of conscious stuff himself, but you yourself, you promoted a lot of that shit. And Snoop and Ice Cube, the greatest from the West Coast, and of course, Dr. Dre, Suge, Pac, all right? All of them, FBA. Now, of course, people who are foreign blacks, Information Man made a great point. Luke, I mean, he's the one who's known for the strippers. It's him. He's like the godfather of that. Wasn't a great rapper or nothing, but he's the godfather of all of that. You see, so everybody has a hand to play, but apparently, Tariq Nasheed, he wants to now, and if you go to Twitter, they've been trending on Twitter. And this is one of the reasons they've been trending on Twitter. This whole hip hop debate, and maybe we need to sit down and have a roundtable session. Information Man and Haven Bullets, he can add some stuff in. I'm sure I can add a few things in. Psychopathist, he can add some things in. But at the end of the day, y'all, ask yourself, it's not who started it, like who's getting the money. In my last video, when I spoke about that robot rapper, all right, that offensive rapper that Gunner, okay, decided to do a duet with, where were all the big rappers? The guys, the rap billionaires and all these guys who you claim are bosses and shit. Why not one of them was able to stop it? Capitol Records stopped it. All these other rappers, your big time guys, whether it's Jay-Z, who you guys are lauding for yet another overrated verse. All right. Diddy, who's busy talking about who killed R&B, when the answer is right there when he looks in the mirror. Or Kanye, who whether he's not saying stupid comments about slavery, he's out chasing like some white horde, like the whorest of whores. So instead of speaking about that, all right, instead of talking about the robot rapper, all right, these guys show how little power they have. It doesn't matter who's, like, you want to pin it down on if you're gonna make that argument, to not bring up no Sammy Davis Jr. and the Nicholas brothers and say, yo, that was breakdancing. Don't do that. All right. Who else before Kool Herc had a turntable and a mic. What's up, Willie Minor? Who else besides that man? That's all I'd like to know. It was a turntable and a mic, and then you had obviously the dancers. Like if you saw the rappers in the late 80s, early 90s, they had the dancers behind them. Kane had Scoob and Scrap, and KRS didn't have dancers, but that was usually it in the video. Everybody had dancers. Malite had leg 1 and leg 2, and so on. They all had the dancers and stuff, and the DJ in the background. Eventually, the DJ started to become obsolete. The dancers went obsolete, and it was just the rapper. I mean, that's basically what it was. And now it's just a rapper. Now, but there was a foundation. Now, instead of the turntable, they got, the mixer, or the iPad or the MacBook or whatever they use to get their beats and stuff. But they laid down a foundation. Go listen to Chubb Rock's song, Regiments of the Steel. Regiments of Steel. Regiments of Steel. Chubb Rock, Regiments of Steel. Listen to that song, how he broke down the origins of hip hop. It was great. It's like, what was one of the lines he said? He said, Rappers Crew was created by storytellers in the motherland. No wonder we're bestsellers. Listen, man. Listen. You guys can do what you want. Again, I think that we should all have a round table on the hip hop. Don't bring any of Tariq's ignoramus, brain dead followers. All right. Those guys are just too dumb. All right. When you, again, the people that you're bringing up that you're saying are like the Jubilaries or Sammy Davis Jr. and all that other guys, don't do that, please. Don't do that. All right. Doesn't matter who started it. Nobody, no Jamaican. Busta Rhymes is not saying the hell with Black America. He never said that. All right. He'd be a fool to say that. All right. One of the greatest, most of the great rap duos, they're all, in my case, they're all Black Americans. All right. Maybe the greatest rap duo that ever lived they might be arguably Outkast. Arguably. All right. I mean, who else? EPMD. They're probably FBA. All right. Who else? Run DMC, obviously. I think they're FBI. I think there was a rumor that DMC was Dominican, but DMC was adopted. All right. Guys, who cares? Who gives a shit? All right. Who cares? Yeah, man. So us understand, and I mentioned Tariq because he's the one that's pushing this stupid shit, and still no museum. So this is why he's blowing this up, because he doesn't have to talk about the museum, and he's not going to talk about it. He's doing a hip hop documentary, and he's going to ask you for more money, probably another $100,000, and he'll take it, and you're going to see him basically sipping lattes out in some, Caribbean beach. Let me just say this about this, and I'm gonna move on to Ava. America, evil as it is, it does have there are some beautiful spots in America. You think that Mr. FBA, even if he's taking vacation, because everybody needs one, I may take one pretty soon, because this job is literally knocking me out, but there are beautiful places in America. You think that he would go to these places and talk about the beauty in this country that he supposedly built. But instead, he just took your money and he just I'm out of here. Out to some country, out in some foreign country. And again, you just got to respect the game at this point. Let's see who else has come in. Willie Minor, what's going on? Obviously beautiful Bernice. Yeah. Yeah, no museum. There's no museum, bro. And there's not going to be a museum. Again, it's going to be some art gallery. I think it's probably like it's going to be a real estate um, scam. All right. And anyone who looks at this, there's still people who think that Tariq and Umar are different. Nah, this is the same scam. Tariq is just, he's not going to be sloppy with it. He's just not. So let me just get into this. Let me read up on Ava Muhammad. I just want to read her biography. And let me see. There's a couple of things regarding Ava Muhammad. Yeah, she had passed, born in 1951. Let's just start there. Died on the 25th. That was about 3 days ago. Well, actually 4 days now because it's now midnight. It's Monday now. So, but let me read this because this was a little bit surprising to me. It was a little bit surprising. But Ava Muhammad, like I was saying earlier, and let me just go down here. Yeah, let's see Miss Ava Muhammad. It's been a while. You can see that font. Now, this is like an 80s font. She's been around for a minute. All right. Like I said before, the Nation brought out a lot of like really powerful voices. Khalid, Malcolm, obviously the minister, and this woman right here, Ava Muhammad. Let me just read a little bit on her life, and I'll read the Winky stuff as well. But Ava Muhammad, a famous Black American Muslim, known best for being the first female minister to preside over a mosque. That was pretty revolutionary, too. To preside over a mosque and a region in the history of the NOI. Her death has saddened the Muslim community in the United States of America. She was the national spokesman for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Ava died on August 26th, actually. She's written books like The Real Love and Queens of the Planet Earth, The Birth and Rise of the Original Woman. Her cause of death was not been made public. Now, my guess, guys, is that she probably died of cancer. She was 71. She actually had a bout with cancer. I think like in her late 20s, early 30s. Right? She had a bout with cancer. So for her to move on from then and like still like live on for another 40 years, you wouldn't even know that she was sick. All right. But she had a bout with cancer when she was younger. So she was, it says she was married to Darius Muhammad in 88. Now this one surprised me here. This one surprised me because I thought differently. It said that she had no children, all right, which I thought she did. Hold on a second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. All right, which I thought she did. All right. Yeah. I thought she did. I thought that she had children. I mean, maybe this might be an inaccurate. This might be inaccurate. I guess we'll have to wait a couple more days because you're really not getting an official eulogy of what or obituary of what happened to her. Right? Said Ava Muhammad, and it just shows her net worth. I mean, this might be true because, again, she was high up in the nation. I'm sure she was taken care of. Said Ava Muhammad had an estimated worth of about $5 million before her demise. That was the estimated worth or whatever. But let's see. I want to see if I can find, again, with people, unfortunately, they don't, I don't know why they don't have any real, I don't know why they don't have any real obituary or any real tributes. And yeah, see, Tariq's trending again, and Black Authority's trending. So I'm guessing Black Authority. I'm looking at Twitter right now, just to see if I can get some other stuff. But it seems that Tariq and Black Authority's now trending. So Black Authority, I'm guessing that he's, of course, what he always does, since he wants to be a mini Tariq so badly, he's riding the coattails of Tariq on this whole hip hop shit, right? So, and y'all, and like I said, you dudes, it just, listen, eventually this whole FBA thing it's going to die down. He's not going to be making any money out of it, and you guys just going to move on to something else, But yeah, this I'm just looking this right here, and like I said, this is just kind of it's kind of interesting. But let me just see if there's anything on here regarding Ava Muhammad, the highest ranking woman in the nation passed. I'm just going through. We would know. Just give it time. Everybody else who passed, yeah. But let me just go down. Yeah. Said official statement on the passing of Ava Muhammad. Passing of student minister Ava Muhammad. He's still calling her student minister. That's just kind of weird. May Allah comfort those who loved her. It said, Assalamu alaikum. This is from the Nation of Islam. Dear believers, we regret to inform you of the passing of our sister, student minister Ava Muhammad, the national spokesman to the Honorable Elijah Louis Farrakhan. So basically, she has a position that Malcolm had, that Khalid had, and again, she was around with Khalid, okay? So, but she had that position, so she was up there in position. Her passing was very sudden, and we are greatly pained of our loss. We will inform you of the time and place of her janazah. I guess that's her funeral. May Allah be with peace with her, with the family and the believers. Your brother and servant. This is from Ishmael Muhammad. Ishmael, he is, I believe he's Elijah Muhammad's son. I believe. This is a little bit from her. Let me just see if you can hear her.
It was broken.
Hold on. Listen.
Waiting for them to get up. It was this man, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, who, when the heart of the black nation was broken, picked up the pieces to the detriment and danger of himself and his family. And we will not tolerate disrespect of this man. We will not take it. And all praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan.
It's her introducing the minister. So, and I'm guessing that, when this, hopefully they show the funeral online, and, just like they showed others, so they should show a live funeral of her online. But yeah, so once God have done, I'm just going through some of these tributes. No one lives forever on earth. This is one of her quotes. No one lives forever on earth, but you can draw the most profound sense of satisfaction through the realization that you have contributed something enduring for the world after you are no longer here. All right. Like I said, I am surprised that, again, I just got to wait for her. And this is another thing we're going to speak about with Ava Muhammad, because we're going to speak a little bit on the reparations. Going to talk a little bit about that because she makes some very interesting points. But let's go. Let's listen to this here.
We have got to get a deeper understanding of how Satan has divided the original people from each other and the tactics that he has used, and yet it has failed. Because we are uniting all of the original people of the earth. The black, the brown, the red are the original people. So terms like Mexican and Puerto Rican and Jamaican and Haitian, these are all labels that the European put upon us to divide us.
She's right, And I'm guessing that she's right. She has a point. All right. She does have a point. But let's just go into this speech right here. This is actually one of her better speeches. And again, this is a little listening party. Shout out to everybody that's come through. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me just. This was an introduction she did. This, and I have this tape at home, but obviously everything eventually gets onto YouTube, right? So let's see. Mythology. I just played this. Okay, I gotta look for this crap again. Ah, here it is. All right, guys. Hold on. This was her introducing the minister. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. So let's hope you can hear this. It up. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. And I'm trying this. Boom. Come on. Come on. Okay.
So listen carefully. Let me introduce her to you, Sister Minister Ava Muhammad.
This is actually one of her. I like this one because I remember when I got this, and her opening was good.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful.
Just put some ones up and you can hear me, okay?
There is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet my brothers and sisters here in the final call and
hello,
in the
born
listening
eternal
audience,
Lord Allah.
and the greeting words
Thanks
of
for
peace
coming in.
of Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, we are blessed to have Minister Farrakhan Muhammad here with us at the final call today to share with us the wisdom of his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In bringing him before you, I want to continue along the same theme which Brother Benny Muhammad spoke on, and that is what we see being manifested in our midst today, that which Jesus was a sign of. Jesus served God by doing his will, but those he went among served God in their mind by doing the will of the Jewish leadership, which in turn interpreted the Torah for the people in a way that would make them submissive so that they would not upset the Roman government and thereby cause the leadership to lose their job. And so today the Negro leadership interprets the Bible for you in a fashion that will satisfy the United States government so that they can keep their jobs. Through preachers and through politicians, we're kept in the darkness. On the plantation, they would give a slave a piece of chicken and a biscuit for teaching the religion that kept them asleep. Today, because all black people are entitled to chicken and a biscuit, they give the leaders a car and a place to live. They preach, and all praise is due to Allah. They preach we should love everybody, love our enemies. But what is love? What do I want love for if it hangs me off a tree? In 1963, Martin Luther King told 250,000 people, black, red, and white, that he had a dream of little black boys and little white girls holding hands. The answer of white America to that dream was the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, 2 weeks later, killing 4 little black girls. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, what is love? Love is freedom, justice, and equality. Black women loved that man called Jesus, and they love him today. Why? Because black women have suffered under the double oppression of racism and sexism. Jesus loved women and he loved children, so much so that he stood up against the Roman government to protect them. When he came on the scene, he set God's judgment alongside the Torah and said that all are created equal, male and female, adult and child. He laid on the subject of the responsibility of the strong for the weak. This made him insufferable, so they planned his death. Black women love strength, and they despise weakness. We love love the strength in Jesus, but we have wrongfully, sisters, taught our children to be weak because we don't want our husbands and sons to go on the cross for their commitment. So we keep teaching them a religion that keeps them in bondage. But we can't make a man. It takes a man to make a woman, but it takes God to make a man. And so now God today has given us a man in our midst that we can follow, not him, but the teaching that he brings us, which is to worship the one God. And so black women all over this country are coming out in droves to hear, to hear, see, and support Minister Farrakhan Muhammad, a man who loves and protects not only the man, but the woman and the child. We love Farrakhan Muhammad, and this love is the greatest power in the world today because it's the love of God himself who is using the black woman's response to Farrakhan to display his own passion for black people. So when this man tells you that you have killed your last black leader in white America, I want white America and Negro leadership to listen good. All envious slave masters and overseers, that not one of you nor all of you is enough to handle the retribution that is coming down from the Lord of retribution. If you even annoy a man who stands up in our midst today to lead us to freedom, much less seek to assassinate him. Farrakhan did not make the footprints in the sands of time of this wicked government. This government reaps what it sows and is now reaping time, and he is on time. Don't let the arch deceiver come on television and tell you that that volcano went off in Colombia without warning. There was a sign given a year ago because God is just, and he gives you a sign before his retribution comes. We have that sign clear in our midst today, so let us rejoice and remember what Romans said, knowing the time is high time to wake up out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than we believe. So let us bring forth and listen with an open heart and an open mind to the man that God has placed in our midst today, our brother, Minister Louis Farrakhan Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, that's one right there. I guess that was a time when I didn't know he was called Farrakhan Muhammad at the time. Like, I guess he dropped the Muhammad. As you can see, he was, a young buck there. And yeah, when she said that God gave a warning with that volcano, I mean, when they say it, I'm like, come on, bro. That drives me crazy with all these religious institutions, but it's okay. But again, that right there is one of her that's one of her great speeches right there. Give me a second here that's one of her better, her good openings. That's one of her most memorable ones for me anyway. All right. And she has a number of great speeches, but most recently, all right, and this is what's so interesting with her and the nation that I don't understand, all right? She gave some recent speeches, as recent as last year. There's even some footage. She gave commentary on the smack heard around the world with Will Smith. So she didn't lose her mental capabilities. Again, I believe, okay, because one of the stories said that she may have died of old age, but 71 is not that old nowadays. It really isn't, especially if you take care of herself. She might have just died in her sleep. And again, she did have the bout with cancer. I don't know how long she was dealing with it, but maybe it just came back. And, her body couldn't withstand it. That's just my guess. But eventually it'll come out what she passed. But also another thing, too. You see her And you heard how she speaks. I'm going to just play a couple of more of her clips. And she passed away on the 26th, information, man. But here's the thing, and this is her husband right here. And like I said before, I didn't know that I did not know that she didn't have kids. Maybe there's going to be another obituary that says, but I thought she had kids. Her and her husband had kids. But yeah, who's taking over for these guys? I mean, Farrakhan, he's pushing. Man, that dude got one foot in the grave. I know y'all don't like to hear that, but it's just a fact. All right? It's a fact. So who's taking over for that dude? Don't tell me it's any of these cats that are like Moody Muhammad, I think it is. But none of these guys. There is no one is taking over. The guy out in LA is too dark skinned. So he's not taking over. Munir Muhammad, he's not going to take over. Don't mention Reza either. None of these guys. So a lot of these guys are dying out. She really didn't have anybody to take over for her. What other Muslim sister has her file? Let's go to that. Like I said, she is very intelligent, this woman. This is her. Where are we at? Where? Actually, give me a second. Okay. By the way, I'm not even, I'm not going to say it. I'll say it later. Had to do with the sector, but I think you guys are going to freaking lose your mind if I say it. So, but this is her talking about separation. All right. Let's listen to the first one. This is the first one of her talking about separation. I guess this was because here's one thing I don't get. Let me see if I can get, because I pulled this up on my little research that I was doing on this. Yeah. Before we get into this, folks, I want to read. This is basically in every Final Call newspaper. All right. It's an addendum for the Nation. They've had this. It's really since the Nation started years ago. Matter of fact, there's a famous speech, and I'm sure you find it on YouTube, where Malcolm X went through all these points on what the Muslims want. There's about several points on this, and I guess this is still in each Final Call newspaper. And again, famous speech where Malcolm broke down each point very well, very well. Let me just go down a bit. Willie Minor, that's not a diss. It's right. Khalid Muhammad would have never, ever, 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 ever been a leader of the nation. Too dark. All right. And dude out in California, he's too dark. They're looking for light-skinned dudes, and that's just a fact. They've always been color struck. And again, Munir, and there's another guy. I guess he's writing like the new edition of The Nation Didn't Kill Malcolm, which was bullshit. All right. Nation was all up in killing Malcolm. All right. The Nation, the NYPD, and the FBI. But I guess you got to continue to run interference and keep trying to cover up for yourself. I get it. I'm not even going to get into that. Let's just stick with Ava Muhammad. But I just want to read the Muslim program. All right. Let me just read some of what it says. It says, we want freedom. We want full and complete freedom. That's point A. Point B, we want justice. Equal justice under the law. We want justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed or class or color. Okay. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. Okay. We want our people whose parents. Okay. Now here's what, this is going to be the theme of what some of these next speeches are going to be. But listen to this. We want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. Okay, listen to this again. A separate state or territory of our own, either on this continent, okay? Continent meaning North America, not just the United States, not just a couple of states, the continent of North America or elsewhere. All right? We believe that our former slave master are obligated to provide such land and that the area must be fertile and mineral rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs, since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced. We believe our contributions to this end and suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for complete separation in a state or territory of our own. That's point number D. Guys, whatever happened to that? That's number one. If that is the case, why aren't they at the forefront of this so-called ADOS or FBA movement? If this is what they believe, again, this was written back when this has been what the Muslims want since the nation started. Huh? Since it started. But somehow they're not even involved. And you don't see one member of the nation who even hooks up with Tariq. You notice that? You got RZA's goofy ass throwing out all these conspiracies and shit, but he's not even talking about it like that. Ben X is too busy, riding around in luxury cars to even deal with this shit. But whatever happened to that? Why, if this is the case, why aren't they talking about hooking up at this FBA march that's coming? Let's go. The point E. We want freedom for all believers of Islam now held in federal prisons. So he wants to free a bunch of criminals, basically. All right. We want freedom for all black men and women now under a death sentence in innumerable prisons in the North and the South. Look, obviously the prison system isn't just. I get it. But some dudes, man, I mean, there are some dudes that do belong there. Okay. I mean, right now there's a big high profile case of a guy, R. Kelly. Okay. I guess some of y'all don't want to see him in prison, I guess. All right. The dude can't get out. He's got to be locked up somehow, institutionalized somehow. See, that's the same guy. I'm talking about R. Kelly, where Farrakhan said, oh, he's an angel. Farrakhan once said in one of his speeches, all these people in prison, just bring them to the nation, which is just insanity. He said this a number of times. He said, just let them all out and send them to the nation, which was craziness. But this is what he said. And also, we want freedom to accept or reject being separated from the slave master. But you look at this movement, this so-called reparations movement, you don't want to separate it all. I've said this a million times that the only way to get reparations is bloodshed and separation. And these guys are saying this. And of course they have F, we want an immediate end to police brutality, mob attacks. And in number G, as long as we are not allowed to establish a state or territory of our own, we demand equal justice and law of the land, but equal employment opportunities. We don't believe that after 400 years of free or nearly free labor, sweat, blood, which has helped America become rich and powerful, so many thousands of black people should subsist on relief or charity or live in poorhouses. We want the government, listen to this, of the United States to exempt all of our people from taxation as long as we are deprived of equal justice. Again, another idea for reparations, right? We want the government to exempt all tax. We want equal education, but separate schools for boys up to 16 and girls up to 18 on the condition that the girls be sent to women's colleges and universities. We want all black children to be educated, taught, and trained by their own teachers, right? We believe intermarriage and race mixing is prohibited. That's another thing that we'll get into that. We believe that intermarriage and race mixing should be prohibited. All right. So, guys, that is from what Muslims believe. Why is it that none of you black American reparations people, how come y'all ain't hooking up with the nation? I think we see why. But here is, let's go into Miss Ava, and let's hear her talk about separation. How about that? Want to hear her? Let's hear her. Let's go. Yep, this is it. Let's go.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ava Muhammad. I would like to thank Minister Rodney and all the panelists for the program today. My question is, does any of the panelists have any observations on the discussion taking place among the Democratic candidates about reparations?
Yes, excellent. There's so much I want to say, but very quickly to answer that important question, we will never receive reparations until we separate. Here is the problem. We're being played by the children of our slave masters. We should be so offended by the fact that there is a committee to discuss whether Congress should study reparations, which Representative John Conyers put before them 30 years ago. But where was the study to give $10 billion a year to Israel, where there are 3 million people, because Israel's a military base for the U.S. in Africa? Our problem is, when we say, are we ready? I love what my brother just said. When a woman is being bounced off the walls and her eyes black and her arms broken, you don't have an option. You have to leave. To say that we can't self-govern emanates from a badge of inferiority, because we live in a structure that is built on white superiority and black inferiority, and it permeates our thinking. We have no idea what we can do because we've never been free to do it. But when the Titanic started going down, you had no choice but to jump in that water. If you couldn't find a chair to float on or get in one of those lifeboats. Have we realized that let's take race out of it. America is falling. America is imploding. Look who's in the Oval Office. A sociopath is in the Oval Office. And the only value that he has to us is he is the Pharaoh. who's going to negotiate for that territory. The art of the deal. I close on that point with this, that the Democrats talking about reparations, we're being made mockery of because there's things as silly as everybody should get a check for 145 grand. The difference between us and China, us and Cuba, us and everybody else, we don't exist as an identifiable geographic and political entity. We will go and form our government. You know, when you're paying reparations to Germany, who gets the money? The German government. You understand? So we have to be self-governing. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, start with a territory. The Mormons were being persecuted when they created their religion, or it was revealed to them, however they started their religion, Church of the Latter-day Saints. They were on the northeast part of the United States. The first leader, I think, was killed. And they kept moving. They moved to Ohio. Then they were persecuted. And finally, they went out to Utah. And they overpopulated Utah. That's all they did. They moved there. And they took over. They're not out there in isolation or desolation. You can fly into Salt Lake City. You can go get on United or Delta American right now and go out to Salt Lake City and stay in a hotel and come back. But I'm going to tell you something. When you go to Utah, the way of life is the life of a Mormon. So no matter what your personal belief system is, you're going to act like a Mormon. Because there's no Hooters, there's no strip clubs. The alcohol is very weak and diluted. Everything closes. The streets roll up when the sun goes, because that's their belief system. That's their way of life. So all we are saying is we want an area where we can live our way of life. And don't say they're going to kill us. Don't say that. Because they've been killing us since they first met us on the shores of West Africa. All right. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has said repeatedly that separation is a process. The United States of America, I want us to think about this, because it's easy to view this as an aberration. We have been here so many centuries, and we know the mistreatment we have suffered. And almost every day of our lives, we encounter a situation that has a negative outcome stemming from the fact that we are black. And yet, when someone mentions separate, we start hyperventilating because of the psychological bond with our torment. The children of Israel, and that was prophecy. We're the reality. But in your Bible and in the Holy Quran, you'll see that the children of Israel wanted to go with Moses. But what held them back was the fear that there was no power greater than Pharaoh. And so Jehovah had to begin showing both the tormentor and the victim that there was a greater power. If you pay attention, beloved, to what has been happening in America, if you look at the fact that there was a presidential election with the first black president, and when he stood on the stage with Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primary, the question he was asked by Tim Russell was to denounce Louis Farrakhan. Now, in a nation of over 300 million, how is it that a single black man is the litmus test for a person to sit in the White House? See, the 1995 Million Man March showed all of us that this is about a common history, a common ancestry, and a common experience. Trayvon Martin is not dead. Sandra Bland is not dead. And the list goes on and on. They're not dead because they are Christian or Muslim. They are not dead because they have a college or they don't. They are dead because they have melanin in their skin in a nation built on a doctrine of white supremacy. This country is 50 independent states. Everyone has a flag. Every one of them has a constitution. Everyone decides their own educational system. They levy taxes on themselves. And then they come together for the purpose of defending the borders and for the overall economic growth. Things like expressway. You have an I-94 because of a unified view of an advanced system of transportation. But there's nothing new and different in this country since its founding for a group of people with a shared interest to form a state. What the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has already demanded of the United States is that separate state or territory. He said 8 states. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad put Minister Farrakhan in his seat and said, go where he says go. Stay away from where he says stay away from. So this is where we are already. The weight is not on us as individuals. This is the most natural thing that any living species can do. The zebras go with their own. The lions live with their own. Every type of bird lives with its own. That doesn't mean we won't pass each other in the sky. But the first order of business is to be fruitful and multiply. You can't multiply if you're being fruitful with another type of creature. Then you're producing a hybrid creature. You're not doing Allah's will. And so the process begins with acting naturally and keeping your eye and ear on Minister Farrakhan. It's proven that he is not only the premier black leader, in truth, He's the best and only black leader for us today. If you are not encountering difficulty as you speak and preach and communicate in life, and this world is embracing you, it could only be because you are refraining from speaking the truth. So the major impediment to making any progress among ourselves as a people, one of the big ones, is that we are not in agreement on the time. If some of us, for example, are looking back at a Jesus of 2,000 years ago for guidance, and some of us are looking at a Jesus in the 21st century for guidance, then we are not in agreement. But the world we live in today, beloved, in no way resembles the world of 2,000 years ago.
And as Minister Farrakhan teaches us, and as we just heard in the Holy Quran, by the time dictates the agenda. It is time for us to focus on number 4. Whether we want to face it or not, the difficulty. Number 4, the Muslim program, what the Muslims want. I will read this to you. We want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land, and that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. Since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality, after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contributions to this land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for our complete separation in a state or territory of our own. Now, the Honorable, all praise is due to Allah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad warned us to do for self or suffer the consequences. We are now suffering the consequences. He called separation the best and only solution. We have tried to manufacture other solutions that would allow us to continue to live with white people. See, these are solutions that are not natural, beloved. These are solutions that we're coming up with today that are not in accord with the will of the Creator. The solutions we're putting in front of our people now, if we are following anything but the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, can only be the product of cowardice and a desire for assimilation and a rejection of a program that will assure our people freedom, justice, and equality. So here we are again, as Brother Ishmael pointed out last week, in the wake of the bloody, hostile murder of Trayvon Martin, which was one of the many that go on every day in America. Here we are immersed in discussing the nuances of the legal issues that are coming out of that murder. So we're debating with white people over laws that they wrote, laws that they interpret, and laws, as Minister Farrakhan said, they make mischief by means of the law. Since we live in a world that white people dominate, that they control, that is built on a doctrine of white supremacy for no other reason than the white man is white, because of this fact, we are no closer, beloved, to achieving freedom, justice, and equality than we were during physical bondage. We will always, you can trust and believe, We will always occupy the inferior position because white America is constructed on a foundation of a doctrine of the innate, inherent inferiority of the black man and the black woman. And so those among us who are in positions of prominence and have been given a tiny measure of wealth, a tiny measure of privilege to exert influence over our people, to make them accept this unnatural, undesirable, unacceptable condition, you who do that are no longer an asset. You are now a liability because you keep us engaged in an exercise in futility. This, all praise is due to Allah, for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
What just happened? Did this freeze? Okay, hold on a second. 1 second, y'all. All right, hold on a second. That shouldn't have froze like that. Hold on. It just stopped. I don't know what happened with that, but let me continue. I didn't even see that happen. Oh, I saw it. I know what happened, guys. I know what happened. I don't know why the hell that froze. But anyway, pretty good stuff, huh? Pretty good stuff. Yeah, I told you, man. This is why I like her, man. Also, too, well, I'm not going to show you. Let me just finish this off first. But I know what happened with this crap.
Futility. This, all praise is due to Allah, for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is a self-defeating, self-destructive effort to assimilate into the white man's disintegrating world. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book is not called Attack on America, it's called The Fall of America. Because its time has come, and so it is disintegrating before our eyes. And focusing on assimilation into it drains us of our creative energy. We're giving all of our spiritual, mental, physical resources to upholding his world. Our community out here, void of life, void of light, because no one is working to build our community save one man and those with him, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And today, I'm going to say to you, you've got to get out of his way. We have to work to sustain our community. I was driving downtown yesterday, construction everywhere. White man busy, building and building. Construction, traffic, you could barely maneuver because everything was at a standstill to accommodate the recreation and fun of white people. It reminded me of the film Planet of the Apes, because all of the people directing traffic were black. Let me read to you an excerpt from study guide number 12, 4 Great Impediments to Self-Development by Minister Louis Farrakhan. Quote, the superiority complex of the Caucasians is a mindset in which the person becomes God. Thus, they want worship, adulation, and service. Not only are they the center of their own existence, they want to be the center of everyone's existence. Their attitude of superiority has so hardened, they will do anything to force submission of others to themselves. The attitudes and beliefs which produce these complexes, that is white superiority and black inferiority, result in damage to the faculty of perception. Now the mood, because of the damaged perception, is colored by attitude and projects that coloring onto reality, making us spiritually blind, deaf, and dumb. He then quotes chapter 8, verse 22 of the Holy Quran, surely the vilest of beasts in Allah's sight are the deaf, the dumb, who understand not. He goes on to write, our lessons are called actual facts because they are real. They are that which actually exist. But we can create a contrary fact by damaging the individual's perception of what reality is. In order to destroy the present reality, we must get to the root reality. Now he goes into a further explanation of why we cannot push race to the side.
All right, so, yeah, all right, guys, you can hear me? Yeah, Nuri Muhammad, that guy right there, you see, he is not, nah. Now, you know what, I was on mute before. I was saying that, yeah, so look at what she's preaching. And this was I think this was just a couple years ago, obviously. And the nation hooks up with Scientology, but she's still rocking with them now. All right. It's just something I don't understand. I don't get it at all. But yeah, this guy right here, Nuri Muhammad, I'm like, nah, bro. He's not running. I mean, again, he's got the complexion, but I don't see him running. Now, some of you are older, you might remember this right here. All right. This, like I said, she's also the nation's lawyer. This is in 94. All right. Where the Nation of Islam, they sued the New York Post. $4.4 billion. All right. They defamed Farrakhan. What was it? What did he do? Was that the time that he went on that world tour? No, that was after the Million Man March. It was about something else. But yeah, this was her, like, this was in front of the New York Post. And it was, where was it at? It was, let me see. Yeah, the steps of the Supreme Court in New York. And yeah, $4.4 billion suit. That was really like the biggest suit that, you know, that they were. But the fact is, she was in her early 30s at that time. Right? And there she is, the lawyer of Minister Farrakhan. All right. So for all these lawyers out there, all you young lawyers who are looking up for somebody, listen, man, I mean, she was a lawyer for a very big organization. So she's like, thank you, information man. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you for that Cash App. Yeah, she's like the Tom Hagen or the Thomasina Hagen of the Nation of Islam. And she was pretty much, so yeah, man, she wore a lot of hats. She wore a whole lot of hats. But lastly, because remember what we talked about, because you heard that she read that same thing, What Muslims Want, right? She did read that. Well, why don't we do this? Because she also talked about, let's see, there's other things about what Muslims want. What was this? We believe, this is point J. We believe that intermarriage or race mixing should be prohibited. We want the religion of Islam to be taught without hindrance or suppression. Now, let me go ahead and play this, and I'm going to just make a point where it's just very interesting what that said, but let me just go down here. Oh, here we go. Now, with this one, it's kind of interesting because notice who's on the thumbnail of this one, right? Who's on the thumbnail down there? Oh, snap. Who's that? Well, we know who that is. All right. So let's hear what Ava Muhammad has to say on this subject, shall we? Let's go.
Abdullah. Islam is the
Hold on. Let's go back.
to keep talking about Islam as an Arab religion.
Go ahead.
Buzz, wrong. Number one, Islam did not come into existence with the revelation of the Holy Quran to Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Islam is the nature of God himself. This book was revealed 1400 years ago in the midst of this last 6,000-year cycle of our history, which has been the worst ever. Because this is the cycle in which the Caucasian-made race was brought into being by a black man. And don't tell me this sounds crazy to you when you believe in an Easter bunny. How do you think white people got here? Except through us. You know black dominates over white. You know that. That's not racist. That's pure science. Melanin dominates. How could we have possibly come out of them? These are a people that cannot go out in the star that gives light and life to the planet, which is the sun. Every time they step out of their house, the sun tries to take them out. That Farrakhan, he's a hater. Because he don't want me to be with white people. I want to marry Kim Kardashian. I heard they don't let you marry white women. Like the character Bundy that Jamie Foxx played in Ali, who's a real person, was a real person. He said to Muhammad Ali, I just can't be in a nation. I can't be a Muslim. Why not? I could give up pork, but I give up white women? No can do. and daughters of your tormentors, colorless, melanin challenged, limited brain matter. Many of us are directing our sons toward the NFL, the NBA, and we're not dealing with mathematics. Because the reality is that globally, there are 60 available positions a year. Globally in the NBA. I say globally because they're importing these big white boys now from Eastern Europe. Because they want to do with basketball what they did with baseball. They want you out. They detest the idea of you having anything. And so now when you do see a black player in Major League Baseball and you start talking, he's from the Dominican Republic. And they can get away with paying him half the salary that you would demand. Also, that brother from the Dominican Republic is not looking at you favorably. Because there's an orientation of our people who are allowed to come here toward us before they get here. And that is why there's enmity between black people in America and our people who come from what we call Africa and from the Caribbean.
All right. So, all right, guys. So yeah, that was her speech on interracial marriage. Like I said, or race mixing. Hold on, excuse me. On race mixing, as you can see, she's got the full black husband. However, she forgets to mention that the minister does have, well, at least now anyway, I don't know when she made that speech. That speech was kind of old, but the minister has a full white daughter-in-law, all right, who's part of the nation now, I guess. And I did a video way back of Farrakhan and the nation caping for this dude out in Chicago, Father Flegler, who was caught up in I think it was either a pedo scandal, some sort of gay scandal, like a pedo scandal. And yeah, and he rode for this dude. And this guy rides for Farrakhan, and he's got an all-black church, a bunch of black. I don't know what's going on out there with that. All right, he's a Catholic minister, and he's got all the get-down talk and everything. But when you got caught up in the scandal that you got caught up in, and they were caping hard for this dude. Like I said, I did a video on it. Look it up. But again, and this right here. You see Rizza, the guy on the bottom. I forgot the guy's name on the top here, but any of the brothers, like the guys who are too dark, like the two guys at the lower right-hand corner, they can forget about being leader of the nation. But again, the old guard is dying off. So they don't have anybody set up. So I see this organization falling. I really do. I see this organization falling really soon. Really soon. Rizza is not running. None of these guys are. None of them. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, man. I wanted to say about this woman. There is I just wanted to read her on Winky, because her wiki account, because I guess, again, she's a bit of a firebrand, like I said. And it said, in addition to administering day-to-day affairs at the Ava Muhammad, she was named Southern Regional Minister, giving her jurisdiction over Nation of Islam mosque activity in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and parts of Tennessee. Like I said, she had a big position in that in this organization. So when they said she was worth $5 billion, I believe it. She graduated from Georgetown University Law Center. Oh, I didn't know this. She was suspended from practice of law in 2013. I did not know that. She later became a member of the New York Bar Association. Married in 88, I said that. She was a lawyer, a minister, national spokesman for the Nation of Islam. She was a researcher and author of several books, hosted a weekly radio talk show host titled Elevated Places, which airs every Sunday on WVON, which is obviously, black station. She's a cancer survivor. Talked about overcoming in the past. Recently, she spoke about her life-changing journey in extraordinary detail. Let me see. Okay, this was the video. Yeah, it's too long. The video is 48 minutes. Yeah, it's a 48-minute video. You can look it up. Just go to Winky and you get the link to the video. The Anti-Defamation League. And the picture that you're seeing here is a picture from the Anti-Defamation League of the people who are on their radar, whatever. Said that they've criticized Muhammad for making anti-Semitic remarks. She had characterized Elijah Muhammad's teaching about Jews by saying, "We will be free of this blood-sucking parasite, so they will no longer be able to sell us alcohol, drugs, depraved sex, and every other type of low-life thing that has kept us from the hereafter." Yeah, well, I guess bloodsucker is what really gets under their skin. So, but yeah, man, Wesley Muhammad. Yeah, Wesley Muhammad, the guy who, basically, if you had a choice from listening to this guy talk and watching paint dry, yeah, the choice is pretty clear. I mean, and he, again, dude is writing another book about how the nation had nothing to do with Farrakhan's death. What is it called? It's after the nation's, this book, yeah, The Judas Factor. It's almost like it's a take on the Judas Factor. So it's going to be another book saying, hey, we had nothing to do with it. Farrakhan had nothing to do with it, even though Farrakhan did a speech in 72, literally saying that Malcolm deserved to die. All right. And I did a video on that long time ago. Just search for Nation of Islam, Malcolm X. And I mentioned it. And the three people who were responsible for the man's death, the feds, the NYPD, and the nation. Those are the three people, folks. So yeah. I mean, listen, rest in power to this sister. Again, I don't have, the Nation of Islam, like I said, they got it with what you just heard from this woman, right? Please explain Scientology and why she's stuck with it. It's almost like she's there to get black people, to pull black people in. Like to show, that she's real, and it's just like any other group. It's just like a lot of these charlatans that you're dealing with. She's there to pull you in while Farrakhan and the nation are still in Scientology. So almost like Scientology, you're still a revolutionary, even though you're hooked up with that group. It just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense, man. So that's what I don't understand. She read what Muslims want, what I just read. But it's obvious you don't want that. You don't want that at all. Hell, if somebody in Africa offered Umar, and we know he did, we know he was lying, but he said he was offered acres in Africa. The nation wasn't offered acres in Africa. If someone's going to offer Umar that, why in the hell wouldn't you offer Louis Farrakhan that? And wouldn't Louis Farrakhan have the power to entice his followers? Hey, take your money, we're moving to Africa. Why didn't he do that? Since you said you want to separate, that's what they said. So all of that, it's just off. Something's off about her rhetoric and their actions. But again, like I said, rest in power to her. Like I said, she was one of my favorite members, but the old guard is dying off and no one is there to take her place. Like this organization, like I said, it's done. She's the only woman in this picture, by the way. There's other, the picture was too big to fit into this. She's the only woman. So there's no other woman there that's taking her place. So this organization, like the old guard is dying off. No one's there to pick up the mantle. They are done. They're done. So, and it's unfortunate, but for her, again, go search through YouTube, check out the content that she put out there. She has a lot of good speeches. She's obviously very, very engaging as a speaker. She knows a lot about history, obviously. And again, she died peacefully. So rest in power to her, man. And again, only people that actually separated to a degree was yes, they did. Yes, they did. The African Hebrew Israelites, yes, they did. And they were mocked for it. A lot of them were mocked for it. They were mocked for it, man. But yeah, her rhetoric and what the nation, their movements, I don't know. But listen, y'all, I got work tomorrow, all right? Unless they have some sort of tape in here and they find out I said Farrakhan too many times and Jew too many times, and then I get my pig slip. I don't know. But yeah, man, listen, rest in power, Ava Muhammad. All right. Thanks y'all for coming in. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit subscribe. Peace out, family. And maybe tomorrow I may go out tomorrow, but I'll probably cut this video up too. I did speak earlier in the video about Umar and the sector and their fuckways, and I talked a little bit about hip hop. And let me say this too: I did see a video today, and I'll probably get people got big mouths, so they'll probably say, "Oh, you look what he said." Listen, as Antonio did a video today. She was looking pretty good. Let me say that she was looking pretty good. You may make a case she's probably the best looking girl in the sector. I'll probably get killed for that too. But yeah, she was looking good, the lighting and everything, and she was looking pretty good. And it was a pretty decent video when she was talking about hair growth and all that other stuff. But yeah, it was a pretty good video, man. But yeah, man, peace out, y'all. And until next time, big up on yourself, man. I'm out of here. Peace.